10% of the people are left-handed. So chances that you're going to fight a right-handed person on the street are very high. What is the biggest punch? It's a right straight or a right overhand. So if he stands in front of me and he throws a right overhand, you know, if he comes in, don't step in this way. Now an overhand goes in a looping form. That means if I let him miss, he's going to miss, he's going to be completely exposed. Boff, there's your shot. Now if it's a straight punch, you're doing this. You're having your hands here, comes with a straight punch. You do the same thing. You move to the side and come back. This is going to go fast, of course. So if he gives me a straight punch, it's going to go ba-bam. It goes really fast. You block and right away. So the block is not with your arm. The block is with your whole body because that will make you load up the right and right away fire back. That's your shot for on the street. If you want to be really smart, I would say do it in an open hand because if you hit the skull, hands are going to break and you don't want your hand to break.
And that's what you do in a street fight. Welcome to Outside the Box. Bam!
Boom.
What's good, world? You're now watching Outside the Box, the portable podcast that goes directly to the source of the world's foremost masters of their craft in all arenas. I'm your host, Okwerdz. Today, we're at Bas Rutten's Elite MMA Gym in Thousand Oaks, California. We back at it for our first episode of 2019, and I told you I wasn't playing. We got a very special guest today, man. But before we open that whole can of whoop ass up, just excited to let y'all know that Drop the Mic moved from TBS to TNT. And the new episodes, by the time you're watching this, they already came out. We did some beautiful things with the Lost cast. There was a big Lost reunion rap battle that I got to help out on. So definitely check that out. They got the encores on TBS, or you could get the TNT app, or check it out on the Drop the Mic Facebook. Tomorrow, we're doing a podcast with Yuckmouth from the Loonies. It's going down, man. I think this summer we might just have Diamond Dallas Page, man. Don't quote me, man, but we're getting there, man. So enough of my insignificant little existence right now, man. Let's get to the real purpose of why we drove 300 miles at 6 in the morning. Let's do this, man. I want to introduce to the show an MMA legend, a UFC Hall of Famer, a former heavyweight champion, an actor, a commentator, like one of the baddest motherfuckers on this earth. I seen him knock someone out with a slap, bro. Please give a liver shot to the person next to you at home while I introduce to the show Mr. Bas Rutten, man.
Bam.
How you doing, bro?
Hey, look at that. That was nice. That was nice.
You like that intro, man?
I love that, yeah. I was almost going to liver shot you because you were asking for it.
No, that's why I had to make sure at home.
I saw you brought your elbow
I thought
down
about that.
because it's located right here on this side. Very accessible for me.
We already in position, man. Well, I appreciate you for allowing us to come here, man. Like I said, we're at your gym. Like, what do we particularly do in this type of room right here? Is this the jiu-jitsu room?
This is the jiu-jitsu room, but also the room where I teach. Every Tuesday and Thursday from 6 to 7, I'll be teaching in this class as well. We have a lot of guys. We're doing the Bang Muay Thai system. So that is new for this gym. We started with it in January. So there's a lot of additions that we have to make, switching stances. Everybody doesn't like that in the beginning, but they're already getting better. So that's how it is, you put your work in and you get better.
I like that whole camp over there too, man. It's crazy. On Thanksgiving, while I was eating my turkey dinner, I got a notification on my phone that said Dwayne Ludwig left a comment on one of my podcasts with Ernie Reyes Jr. I was like, holy shit, that tripped me out. And then he followed me back on Instagram. It was, we may have to holler at you, man.
You got to go to Colorado now. Hey, you got to interview him there.
I'll go wherever, dude.
Yeah.
Like if they want to do it, we're in. But how's everything with you, man? What you got working on recently?
The thing where I spent the most time on, you see there on the table, is the O2 trainer. It's a device that cured me from my asthma. Then I actually came up with the idea when I was 14 years old.
How does it work exactly?
It controls the air intake. Let me take it. It's very simple device, but it's really powerful. The there's 2 caps on there. 1 cap, and I see this one is not the original that needs to be on it, but normally there's a flap right here, because this one we're using at the front as a display thing model. There's a flap right here, so if you breathe out, it opens up. But if you breathe in, it closes, and it forces you to breathe into the other side. Now, these are caps that you can take off and put another cap on. And it looks super simple, and it is super simple, but if you have guys like Usain Bolt and 3 other gold medalists and all from the last Olympics using it, you know you're on something good.
Yeah.
Cured me from my asthma within weeks, sent it to my buddy in Holland, who has asthma, which I knew. 8 days later, he calls me, I want to sell them in Europe. My asthma is gone, couldn't believe it. And now we started realizing, wait a minute, it's not only good for asthma, of course, for anybody, you know, especially for athletes, but also for, you know, if you're a singer.
Cardio.
My wife, she does like that. She was complaining with me when I was training with the prototype, because at the restaurant, every time she said, man, keep your voice down, keep your voice down. I go, I'm not speaking loud. But I realized that this was making my voice way more powerful, because I was training my inspiratory system. Yeah, so the results are insane. We have a whole bunch of published medical journals, which means it's 100% proven, clinically proven. Because I always talk about this. If you buy a product that says clinically tested, don't buy the product.
Who tested it?
Yeah, and what was the result of that test? That's what I would like to know. I don't, because if the result was good, it would have said clinically proven, right? But it doesn't say that.
Yeah, we
but people
tested it.
read the word clinical and they go like, oh, it's clinically tested. It's got to be good. No, it sucks. This is clinically proven. Backed up by published medical journals. So.
Yeah, I mean, only Bas Rutten would find a way to work out your lungs too, man. That might make me a more successful weed smoker, man. I don't know.
I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure it's
I might
doing
have
a lot of good
I might
things
have to put that to the test for you.
different fields. Do it. Try it. I'll get you one. You try it out, because that's another market I'm going to tap into.
You're going to tap into the...
We're working together
you know what
now.
I mean? It's legalization now, you know? You got a whole different avenue, man. That's awesome, man. Are you still doing the combat karate? Is that still around?
Yes. Was talking to them this morning. We were going to go to Tokyo officially, Japan, Kyoto. But that has been changed. So now at the end of the month, I hear we're going to go somewhere. It's outside the country. I don't know what country yet. Nice. But I love that show.
I think it's a cool concept, man.
Yeah, all the
really
fighters,
cool
the people, you know, the people you work with. It's a good group of guys.
Yeah, most definitely, man. It's great to see that, you know, you're still staying so busy and everything, man. But I want to take this time. I kind of want to go back a little bit to where it all began. Now, you're from Holland, right?
Yes.
Right? What city exactly are you from?
You know, you're going to freak out. Valkenswaard. Yeah.
Whoa.
You don't even know how to pronounce it.
How you spell that?
Valkenswaard. Valkenswaard. It's Falcon Town.
There it is.
That will be the translation. They used to train falcons there, apparently. They had a lot of competition going on. And that's, that's where I grew up. I was born in Tilburg, which is a big city. And then we went to Valkenswaard, which is a small town. It's much bigger than right now. And that's where I pretty much lived my entire life.
Well, I mean, what's it like growing up in Holland, like in comparison to like America and stuff? Obviously, you didn't grow up here, but like just, you know, what's the main differences, you think?
I don't know. You know, the whole black and white situation, that was a big wake-up call for me here.
Yeah.
Because you know, the racism, so to say. In Holland, we tell black jokes while they're there, and they tell white jokes while they're sitting with us, and everybody's laughing. It's completely accepted.
Yeah, there's just a crazy, deep-rooted history in America.
Oh, yeah,
you know?
because once I came here, I go, whoa, guys.
Yeah.
This is pretty wild. So that I would say, but everybody gets really along in Holland. Other than that, I would say taxes are extremely high. You know, driving a car is very hard because, you know, the gas is very expensive. You pay like $2.50, I think, more for a liter. So that would be $10 a gallon, you know. So, and you have to pay taxes on everything. So if you have a big car or an expensive car, well, if it weighs more, it does more damage to the road. You're going to have to, for instance, if you I had a Porsche Cayenne, right, for instance. That, first of all, it's like $95,000 here. There will be probably 160,000 euros. They live next to Germany. Yeah. So you can see what they tax already. But let's go over the insurance. The insurance, a car like that, about $1,300 a month.
Wow.
And the taxes will be the same, about $1,300 or $1,400 a month. Now, here in America, it's $275 a year for your taxes. It's a big difference. And the gas, of course, when it's $3, which we believe is a lot of money, but it's for 4 liters instead of 1. So, yeah, that's what I would say. People are really nice. It's a great country to visit as well.
Yeah.
Everybody speaks English because we have to. It's such a tiny country that if you don't speak English, well, you can't leave the country. So everybody, it's been taught in school. A lot of people speak French, German also, because I used to live at the German border, so you automatically speak that. And also Flemish, you speak that. I lived
6 miles away from the border. So had a lot of interaction with those kind of people. That's where I drank first, what is it, Stella Artois, the beer.
Okay.
Yeah, we always used to go actually to Belgium to drink that beer because we loved that beer. And we went partying there. The other side is also, of course, Belgium. They close at like 6 a.m. in the morning, the nightclubs. In Holland,
you can do whatever.
A lot of them close at 1, but some close at 5 as well. And what you have also, it's a system what you have down. For instance, they by law, they have to lock up for at least an hour. So sometimes what happens at 5 o'clock, they get a bell. Everybody says, okay, we're going to close down. Order all the beer you want right now. Because what happens is you say, okay, give me 12 beers. You get 12 beers. You go outside. They lock the door for an hour. Everybody's drinking outside. Beers. And an hour later, the door opens again. And then you go back. And it's party time again. So that's a nice little loophole there. You would think you get sober, but you don't. You actually get more drunk because you have a lot of beer.
Because you got to pack up. You got to pack up. Like, how far are you from somewhere like Amsterdam? I'm sure you've probably been there a million times at this point. Huh?
Well, it's, I would say it's 120 kilometers, like 85 miles, I would say.
Oh, okay, that's
around
not
that.
bad.
So, but, the roads in Holland are very, they're tiny. So at the wrong time, that's a 2-hour drive at least.
Yeah, I'm going there later this year, so I'm curious, like, what would you recommend that I should be doing over there, man?
Amsterdam, for sure. You want to check out the red light district, and not because of the red light, but it's just really the best place to be there. If you go there, the food is incredible. The people are incredible. It's a big melting pot, like they say always about America. Well, that's Amsterdam as well. Everybody, every country, everybody goes along with each other as well. Great restaurants. Yeah, that's definitely a place you want to come. It's a funny story. First time I went to the red light district with my wife. We wanted to show.
That's pretty much what I'm probably going to be doing.
So check this out. I'm walking on the street. And these girls are behind the windows, right? There's a curtain in front of the window, but the windows are open. If they're available, the windows are, the curtains are open. You can see them. And then once you said, "Okay, I want something," they open the door. You come in, they close the curtain, and the business gets done. Anyway, I'm walking through these streets, and these prostitutes start knocking on the window, and they go, "Hey, boss, hey, boss." And I'm here with my wife for the very first time. And I look at her, and listen, it's been like 6 years that I was in Amsterdam. I go, I swear. But try to explain it. Then we found out that a friend of mine who fought also in Japan, you can call it, what is the pimp? But I don't know the legal word for it. But in Holland, it's legal. So because they all get checked and taxes, they pay everything, and the women get checked, blood checked every week. It's very
organized.
Yeah, it's very organized. Anyway, he fought with me on the card. And he came back, and he had these magazines, and he said, "Oh, this is my friend Bas. Look, because there were that I was knocking people out. So these girls recognized me from the pictures, and that's why they were knocking on the window." But try to explain that to your girlfriend, who at the time was my girlfriend. When you visit and prostitutes start calling your name.
But in your defense, though, man, like, you are from Holland and you're like a famous fighter. So like anybody could, you couldn't be surprised if somebody knew who you were.
Well, at that time, that was just after, that probably was my third fight. So I wouldn't say really. Once you became the champ, you get in magazines, and in newspapers, then people start recognize you. But that was very early on. So no, she had all the reason to be worried. Trust me.
So growing up in Holland, like, how do you decide that you want to become a martial artist and a professional fighter? Because to me, that just sounds like the most terrifying thing on earth. Like, what made you say, you know what, I just want to fight people for a living? How did that happen?
Okay, so I was born with a very bad skin disease.
Okay.
So on my hands, very bad, and it was at times it was so bad if I would make a fist, like it would open up and crap would come out. It was really disgusting. On my arms, everywhere, my face. And on top of that, I had really severe asthma. So I had asthma all day long. I had inhalers, everything for that. And then I had that eczema on the side. Every 6 weeks or so, I would get an asthma attack, which would mean a week in bed, not able to eat, not able to do anything, because you're in that 24/7 all day long. So once you're like that as a kid, you're very skinny because you don't eat a lot because of the asthma. And of course, the skin disease, other kids, well, they call you leper. They call you all these kind of names, and they're afraid of you. And they bully. So once I saw a movie with Bruce Lee in it, Enter the Dragon,
there you go.
And I saw Bruce, I go, wait a minute, if I become like that guy, I think the bullying will stop. So I asked my parents to allow me to do martial arts. They didn't. It took me 2 years of begging to finally they allowed it. They broke. And I was taken under the wing by this adult, the coolest guy in town. He was dating my neighbor girl, and she was really beautiful, and he was the coolest guy in town. Took me under his wing, and I was training with the adults. And within months, I started beating the adults, and then I overheard him talking about me in the dressing room. Oh man, did you see Bas, man? He knocked out Jack, whatever, with a body kick. Yeah, I mean, it's crazy, man. This kid is really good. You know, once you start listening to that as a kid, who before only heard negativity, you know, but then, you know, you start believing in yourself, and then of course the day came.
That's why martial arts is so good for you, man.
When I had the biggest bully in town came with 6 of his buddies, they were riding a bicycle on the street, and of course when they came passing me, because I was going the other way, they were shouting, "Hey leper, watch out, your ear don't fall," whatever they were shouting. And this time I said something back. And I heard them laugh, and I looked back, and sure enough, they all turned around, they started to chase me. So I stopped my bike, I put it on the stand, and I told myself, I'm not gonna run anymore. I'm gonna take care of this problem right now. And of course they surrounded me with their bikes. It was so funny because if you watch these movies,
it's like the Sandlot or
cars,
something.
you know, they do it with cars in the middle of the night, and the headlights are the lighting for the fight, you know, and then they bet. This was during the day with little kids on a bike, 14-year-old kids surrounded me, and of course Chucky, that was his name, he came to me and he started bouncing his chest at me. "Come on, leper, you want to hit me? Come on, I'll give you a shot." I go, "Okay." And that's when I realized, wait a minute, fighting is actually pretty easy. Or bullies are not that strong, because I dropped him one shot. Problem was, he was knocked out and his nose was flat on his face. So that meant that he had to go to the hospital. That meant the police was alarmed. That meant they came to my mom and dad. And that meant they took me off of martial arts immediately. And because that was, they said, you see, it is violence. But of course, now I had the taste. And I started training. I started going to the library. I started watching everything from Bruce Lee, renting videotapes and watching his movies, and just start imitating him. And slowly but surely, you know, people thought I was a black belt, but I'd never been a black belt at the time, because I was just practicing. And what I could see, I normally can do. You know, because I those skills at least I have. And that was it, you know. I just we had a list. I had 2 other friends of mine. They also got bullied. One was a guy who was overweight, and the other guy was a guy with a big head. But the guy with the big head, he got a growth spurt. So suddenly, proportionally, it was all okay. And then when the overweight guy started training boxing, and he lost weight, started competing at it, and we became these stronger guys. We called ourselves the champions. We like Huey, Dewey, and Louie. That's what my mother said. We had wearing the same leather jackets, and you know, we thought we were the cool guys. And we had a list. We had a list of all the bullies that had us, and we were going to check every person on that list.
That's great.
And we did. We did.
And we did.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
But it's funny, you know, because some of these guys, because this is years later, you know, you tell them what they said, they don't even remember what they said. And I go, that is so, if you think about it, this is something, they said something to me that I still remember till this day.
Yeah.
That's how it affected me.
Yeah, kids are fucking mean.
Yeah, but they didn't even realize that they said that. So they just threw that out, you know. And this one guy, "I'm so sorry." I said, "Me too, because I'm going to have to do it. You know, I'm going to have to beat you up now. I mean, you're going to have to pay for what you did, right?"
I wonder what Shucky's up to now, man.
Yeah, that would be something, right?
So what all styles of martial arts have you studied?
I started with Taekwondo. That was the very first art that I took. And then I took Shintai Karate, which was a form of Taekwondo mixed with some basic takedowns that a guy did. And from there, I went immediately into Thai boxing. And then I started training because I wanted to compete. And I wanted to compete full contact. And then I started doing Kyokushin Karate also. And I was in another town with friends of mine. I became a bouncer, and I knew some Kyokushin guys. And then, you know, so I started doing everything at the same time. But competing to me was the most important, to go to Thai boxing.
Yeah. I mean, and to like get your name like known in Holland around that time, like was that around the time that the whole scene started kind of coming together with all the Dutch kickboxers and stuff, or was that before, after? Like
that was just around that time. I was the biggest fan always. I have Rob Kamen, Ramon Dekkers, now all these guys. Peter Okwerdz. Well, Peter Okwerdz is a good friend of mine. I've known since he was 14.
Ernesto, too.
Ernesto Hoost. I mean, we had such a great guys. A lot of people don't know Milo El Goebli, André Brilleman. You know, these were the guys who first went to Thailand and actually beat the Thais. I remember this big show that we had in the Jaap Edehal, which was a big place where always the biggest fights were. And that was, they did this one time only, because after that nobody wanted to do it again. They had 4 champions, world champions from Thailand coming in, and they were going to fight 4 Dutch guys. And it was televised straight to Thailand, live, and everybody was watching, and all the Thais got knocked out. And that's why it was the first and the last time they did it. But I was at that event. That was a very big event, and it was so cool. I have a picture of me. I remember me jumping into the crowd to make a picture from Rob Kamen walking up to the ring.
The first selfie.
That's it. And now he's now he's a good friend of mine. So it's funny how those things work. Later in life, you know, that you meet people that you used to look up to.
I know. I used to like watching those guys in K1. Like, to be honest, like K1 is one of my favorite fighting organizations ever to watch. Like that, like some of the most brutal knockouts that I ever seen, man. Did you ever meet Remy? Was it Bunjowski?
Bunjowski, yeah,
you like that
course.
kid? Like, he was one of my favorites.
Oh, it's crazy. All the Dutch guys. You know, the Dutch guys are just really good at Thai boxing and kickboxing. That's what they do.
Why is it? How did they kind of just like take over? You know.
You know, I don't know. I think that Jan Plas and Johan Vos, those were two guys, prominent guys in Holland, trainers from Ernesto Hoost, and the other guy was from McGirr Gym. And they just started tying the hands, they had really good hands, and the legs together. So when they went to Thailand, Thai boxing at that time was 85% kicks. There were not a lot of strikes. You know, there was a few exceptions, like Samart. He was a guy who became a WBO champion as well, WBC, I mean, boxing. But for the rest, there was a lot of kicking. So when the Dutch came in and they started beating him with their hands and then following those the punch combinations up with low kicks and with kicks, they start knocking people out left and right. So they became really good. The K1, what you just talked about, I mean, the last years when the K1 was there, I mean, what they do, for the people who don't understand it at home, they have all year long they fight, and all the best guys, the final 8, they fight in one night on New Year's Eve, and then the champion will be crowned K1 champion. From those last 5 shows, all these 8, from the final 8, 7 were Dutch, or 8 were Dutch. It got so bad that they said, okay, Badr Hari, okay, you're from Morocco originally, could you please come up with the Moroccan flag instead of the Dutch flag? Because, you're a Dutch guy, but, because otherwise it was only Dutch. So somehow those guys just know how to kickbox.
Hey, that reminds me of some things that happened in battle rap with the West Coast, man. So I could feel you there, man. So from fighting around your hometown and around Holland and whatnot, like, when did fighting in Japan for Pancrase come about? Like, and how did that whole thing happen?
So I started Thai boxing, won all the fights by knockout, knocked pretty much everybody out. Then it was hard for me to get a fight. I said, you know what, I'm gonna stop right now, because there was no internet. So what would happen is I would train 6 or 8 weeks. I would go to a show, and then once I had a show, the guy that I used to fight, was supposed to fight, would see me and would realize, oh, it's him, and he would not fight me. So if that happened 2 or 3 times in a row, you go like, okay, I'm training for nothing. Why would I do this? So I said, okay, let's. I became a bouncer, the smart guy, right? So I started bouncing. Then they suddenly, at New Year's Eve one day, I was drinking, and a guy approached me if I wanted to face Frank Lotman. And I said, the animal? And he goes, yeah, because that's his nickname. Yeah, he was in jail. He was training in jail, all ready to come out. He wanted to restart his career, and now he wanted to go on the straight path. I said, sure, I fight the guy, because I knocked everybody out. I thought this guy was 43-0 with like 41 knockouts. The animal, right? He was a really good guy. The problem was this: that in February they called me and they asked me where to send the posters to, and I go, what posters? He says, from the fight. I said, who's fighting? He says, you. I said, me? Where am I fighting? And he goes, Frank, the Lotman. I said, the animal. Yeah. And he goes, yeah. I go, when did I say that? And he goes, New Year's Eve. So I started thinking, I go, oh man, I did say that. I did talk to the guy.
Smart time to ask.
Now I gotta live it up. I gotta do it. I can't pull out. I said, when is the fight? He said, 2.5 weeks. Now, I've been 3 years a bouncer till 5 a.m. in the morning, and after that we go to the after party. So the life is not a really healthy lifestyle. So needless to say, I lost that fight. And then I got...
That was Pancrase?
No, that was Thai boxing. Gotcha. And I got spit out by the audience. Suddenly, I was the worst fighter there was. They forgot all about the other fights that I knocked everybody out. And suddenly I was the worst fighter I was. And
typical.
It wasn't... I didn't have the feeling anymore to fight for these people. So I started doing martial arts shows. What we did was choreographed fights. We would go to a nightclub, for instance, and at midnight, the music would go down. Then my buddy and I would come out all pumped up with spandex, whatever we were wearing, and we did these choreographed fight scenes where we had sticks, nunchucks, break tests, all this crazy, a lot of acrobatics. I kick him, he grabs my foot, throws me back. I make a somersault while I kick him in the face. Like, really cool stuff. We would come up with backflips to the place, And on one of these shows, because it became a big hit suddenly we were invited Thai boxing shows. We were going to be in the intermission. We were going to do a show. And then we started traveling. We went European TV. Suddenly we got Dutch TV. And we went to France and Germany. We started doing all these shows around the world. And on one of these shows, around Europe, and on one of these shows, Chris Dolman was there. And Chris Dolman was a guy who was... the head of the organization Rings in Japan. And there was a shoot fight organization. And he stopped me and he says, listen, I remember you from Thai boxing. And you're a freak athlete, you knocked a lot of people out. Now I see you doing all these backflips and everything. Maybe free fighting, that's what they called it at the time, is something for you. And I asked him what it was. He explained you can do pretty much anything you want, And I said, and they pay you for it, right? Yeah. And he goes, yeah, okay, sure. I would like to do that. So that was the setup. That's how I started with it. Started training there. Got my butt handed to me the first class. I thought I could hold chokes, my whole throat. I had to drink liquid food for like 3-4 days because my throat was completely crushed. I parked my car next to the road. I remember calling my wife on one of the first cell phones all the way back because it was 92. And I said, man, I'm completely crushed. I'm going to sleep in the car and I will come when I wake up. And she's laughing. She goes, oh, this is it, right? It won't ever happen again. I said, no. Within 6 months, I'll be back. And I'm going to tap everybody there. You watch, you mark my words. But, I got an injury here, injury there. Amsterdam was far away. One day I got a phone call from Chris Dolman. He says, Bas, I know it's late, but you gotta jump in your car right now, come to Amsterdam. I said, what's going on? He says, there's two guys, Funaki Masakatsu and Minoru Suzuki. There's a new organization coming called Pancrase, and they're looking for fighters. They were scouts, and they were fighters themselves as well. So I went over to Amsterdam, and then I got into a scuffle. We had to do a sparring session. They were going to film us, and they wanted to see our technique. And the guy from Rings, he was a Rings champion, he wanted to shine, I guess. So he started going really hard against me. So I stopped him. I said, dude, we don't have to go hard. They just want to see technique.
Poor guy.
Exactly, because he kept pushing it, and then I stopped him again, and I said, dude, it's okay for me. I'm not saying it for me. I'm saying it's not going to be a one-way street. You do it, I'm going to do it back. Which, of course, resulted in me knocking him out with a head kick.
The champion.
Very, very nice high kick. His head was all the way open here on his eyebrow, so he needed to go to the stitches, but apparently it looked very impressive to the scouts because they were pointing at me. And they said,
I'm impressed just hearing it.
That's what I mean. And that was it. 2 months later, September '93.
Wow.
That's when I fought my first fight in Japan.
Wow. Now it's a little sketchy to me. Like, what exactly were the rules there? Because I've seen some things like I've seen you knock a guy out and clearly unconscious, eyes in the back of his head, but somehow they let him get up and continue the fight, and you like choked him again. Like, what are the rules, man?
The Japanese are known for... Okay, so first of all, there were 8 counts also in Japan. So in MMA, normally you don't have 8 counts. But there was another twist, which is actually a really good twist. It was called rope escape. So imagine I have you in a submission and in a rear naked choke, but you're laying close to the rope. If you can, with your foot, it's almost like in pro wrestling. If you can touch the rope, or you can put your foot on the rope, they stop, and the count's the same as an 8 count. So you lose a lost point, so to say. Yeah, there's something here in the place.
We got a B. That's the first time. I'm going to need you for protection, but continue, please.
And I was doing also, it was open hand strikes to the face, close to the body, kicks, knees, everything was legal. But what they did is the Japanese are so good on the ground, what they did, and not as good on their feet. So you had to wear shin protection and shoes. Now, shoes with leg locks, if you run leg locks, you can ask any fighter. It's very hard, very simple to catch somebody with a leg lock. It's very hard to escape because it's a foot, like a normal foot. You slip out, you're out. But a shoe, you can't do that. So they were kind of tailored, those rules, for the Japanese fighters. There were rounds of 30 minutes. It started out like that. Because when I asked, first of all, my first opponent was 245 pounds, or 243 pounds. And I look, isn't that too big? He says, no, there's no weight classes. I said, oh, that's awesome. Great. But of course, inside, I wasn't thinking that's awesome. And then I asked him when he walked away, so, well, by the way, how many rounds are we fighting? He says, 1 round. I said, oh, great. How many minutes? He goes, 30. I go, yeah, great.
Yeah,
and
that's a little janky, man.
Trust me, I was completely bluffing at that time. I didn't want to show him my panic face. But it worked out well. I put the guy down, 43 seconds. Palm striked him in the head because he was the tallest Japanese I've ever seen. And so I palm striked him underneath the jaw. He went down, but he got back up. And me thinking, oh, he's really tough, so let's turn it up now, right? So it was already a hard punch. I fully liver kicked him because, needless to say, his hands are here because I just knocked him out to the face, knocked him down. So in order to bring the hands down, I gave him a real hard body kick. The hands went down, then I hit him again. And while he fell down, I kneed him in the face. And that was a very scary moment, because he didn't wake up. And, he was 2 days in the hospital.
I actually saw that one.
Yeah, it was a very scary moment. That was also the moment that if he wouldn't have come out, I was already talking to my wife. I said, this is it. If he's not going to come out, I don't want to do this
that's
anymore.
Scary. That's scary.
Because he was a nice guy.
Yeah,
but
no, that's scary.
he became actually a really good friend of mine, Aji. Yanagisawa, that's his name, but it's very hard to pronounce, so everybody calls him Aji.
And when you say you palm strike them, that's because you can't use a closed fist, right?
Yes,
Like,
you
so
can't
that's one of
close the
rules.
fist. But, as a bouncer, I was already fighting like that. Because that's how my buddies breaking their hands, if you fight 3-4 guys, you're in a melee, everything is going on, and you're just hitting, and you hit a skull, well, you break your hands, right? That's why they invented the glove, right? The boxing glove is to protect the hand.
Yeah.
It's not to protect the head. A lot of people think that, but it's not. It's just so you can keep on fighting.
Yeah.
So I saw them breaking their hands, and I go, you know what? I start palm striking people, and I would hit them with the bone. I don't slap them. I hit them with the bone behind the ear. That was my trick, or a palm strike on the jaw, of course. And needless to say, well, you could see the results. It works really well. They drop like flies if you hit them like that. Let's say that.
That's pretty funny, man. Obviously you're very technical and have a lot of different techniques that you use, but like sometimes I feel like maybe your fights may have got a little personal, like how sometimes you would beat somebody with like a move that somebody beat you with the time before or something like that. Is that like a personal, like you just want to do that, like and rub it in their face, or like what's the mindset behind that?
Yeah, that was the mindset. My first, almost my first, was my second fight. The guy got me an armbar, but thanks to the rope escape, and I wanted to stop. I was very sick for the fight. I was throwing up in the back. They let me travel 8 hours that day. I mean, they did everything almost. It looked to me to make me lose. And because if you come from Holland to Japan, the jet lag is a nightmare. It's like nighttime is daytime. It's a very hard jet lag. When you come back, that's an easy one. Yeah. But going there, it's a very hard jet lag. So I wanted to stop, and I wanted to tap when he had me in the armbar. But as soon as I wanted to tap, I heard the audience chanting for him. And my ego took over, and I go, nah, I'm not going to do it. Now, what I didn't realize is that the rope was right here, but I saw the rope right there. So I dragged him through the whole ring. I grabbed the rope, and then he let me go, and then I knocked him out with a knee to the liver 30 seconds later. This was at the moment that I was completely dead. I thought I could not fight anymore. My ego took me over, but as soon as he let me go, I go, oh, gee, I got to fight again, and I cannot fight right now. But that's where I got him with a knee to the liver, and that was the moment also that I told myself, first of all, I'm never going to be running out of shape anymore, and second of all, now I know it's never over when it's over. It's over when it's over.
Yeah, exactly.
There's always a chance to win a fight, and I just proved it at that moment for myself.
That's beastly, man. I could definitely respect that, man. I just seen you like knock out so many people in my lifetime, man, that like I'm just curious, like you were one of the first people to like really start implementing like grappling as well with the strikes. Like what was the point where you needed to know that you felt that I need to step it up on my repertoire a little bit?
That was losing. And I'm sorry, I just forgot on the last question. You said because you wanted to pay it back. So that guy, he armbarred me, right? So when I fought him the second time,
you did it back.
I did it back.
Yeah.
I wanted him first to tap
amazing.
on an armbar, and that's what I told him. When I got him, I said, "No, you got it back." And then later on, I knocked him out again. So the next question was when you start doing the grappling. Well, grappling is very simple. Once you lose to it, and you lose 3 times by it, I don't know about you, but I'm a very sore loser. I always want to win, even if I play cards. Now I finally lost that, thankfully, because I was such a crazy guy always. Even walking up the stairs, I want to be the first guy going up the stairs. It's always this competitive, crazy thing going on with me. So after I lost for the 3rd time, I realized I needed to work on that. And I became very vocal. I started asking everybody who wanted to train with me, because I had nobody to train with, because Amsterdam is far away. Sometimes when I would come there, from the 12 guys, 3 would quit, and they wouldn't even want to spar with me. It was this really weird feeling. So I needed a guy to train with, and I found this one guy, Leon Van Dyke. He was a 19-year-old kid. He was a super good Thai boxer, very strong. He did arm curls for like 200 pounds. It was insanity. He would literally, if I had him in an arm bar, he would curl it out. So I had to use real perfect technique in order to keep that arm straight all the way at the end, using leverage. But it made me really good. We just started focusing only on grappling. And then I got obsessed with it.
And he's the one that taught you it? Or?
No. We had no teachers. We were just watching videos.
You taught yourself?
We taught ourselves, yeah. Because and a lot of moves also. I said, listen, I can make that better. He says, what do you mean? I said, put me in the lock. I said, here, I can escape. And he goes, yeah, okay, so how can we stop that? So we start coming up with our own things. But then I realized also, for instance, a straight armbar, right? If you want to go, you're sitting in mount, you go to a straight armbar. It's the most basic rule there is. Now, if I do that 3 times to Leon, he's a very smart athlete. It will never happen again, because he finds a defense for it. So I needed to create a different setup in order to go that. But then he would know the second setup. So it forced me to create another setup. And soon enough, we had for every submission like 3-4 different setups. And once you start hitting them, like you go to 1 and 4 and 3 and 2 and 1, boom, suddenly one hits. You know, you start getting better and better. And like everything in life, and hard work pays off.
Yeah.
Right? I started submitting my wife in the middle of the night because I would dream a submission. I just not kidding. This happened at least 6 times. And I would write down, I said, your shoulder's hurting, right? And she goes, yeah, it's hurting. So I write down the submission. And the next day I would try it in training. But you know, all that stuff, my house was filled with little Post-its everywhere with combination. Yeah. I got so obsessed with it, but I never lost a fight anymore. Yeah. I won my last 22. So, you know, it's just putting the work in. Because I tell everybody, if I can do it, you can do it. I'm nothing special. Yeah, I might have a little bit more technique, but I'm not super technical. Yeah. And I'm not super, there's guys with way more technique that I have. Yeah. You know, it's just putting the work in and you'll be good.
That's nuts because it seemed like you had some serious training because as soon as you started implementing the grappling, you were tapping people left and right. It was almost like you just wanted to tap people now that you know it. Like, it's like, so even at that point, like you didn't have someone else like teaching you? Like how, like was there a point where you went to like jiu-jitsu class or something?
No, we had Chris Dolman taught me the basics, right? Like basic armbars, basic stuff. And I just started building on that. It's just like, again, it's just insane, keep on doing it. Yeah, but it's the only way to get better, you know?
Wow, man, that's crazy, man. And also, obviously, you've been infamous for the liver shot. Where did that come from? Like, what made you, like, how do you become the guy that's famous for the liver shot? Like, anybody could punch someone in the liver, but like, how do you become that guy?
I have no clue. I do know that my first Thai boxing class, I got dropped with it because I came from karate. That means my hands were here, right? Because there's no punches to the face. So I'm facing this A-class fighter, which is a professional fighter in Holland. And he really fast found out, since he's the A-class fighter professional, that if he hit me in the head, if you're here and he hit me in the head, you only have to make a small move. But if your hands are here and he hits you in the head, what you're doing, you go up faster. Most of the time you overcommit. What happens? You're exposing the body. So if he threw a punch and I did this, he knew exactly, okay, I'm going to give him 2 headshots and a liver shot. That's it. So 2 headshots came, I brought it up, boof, I went down. Something that never happened to me, not in all my karate time, nothing to the body. And now this guy in my first class, he knocks me out with a liver shot. And that's where my love for the liver shot came from. And especially when I saw Robin Deckers starting demolishing Thais with it, I go, man, I gotta learn that shot. That's a good shot.
It's been very effective, I gotta say.
No, it works great. Punches, knees, kicks, I did it all. It's a fun target because a lot of people don't focus on. Nowadays, thankfully, we see it a lot.
Well, yeah, you popularized it.
Yeah, but, you know, and the word liver shot, I'm very proud of that because I came up with that word. You know, it's we can Holland say a liver stoat, a liver punch. That's what they said. But I came here, I said, just give him a liver shot. And suddenly people start using the name liver shot. I had on Showtime Boxing a guy say, he just dropped him with a liver shot. It was like 6 years ago. And I look at my wife, I go, yeah. And she goes, what? I said, that's my word.
Liver shot.
That's my word. That is so awesome.
Man, that's funny, dude. Awesome. Well, I mean, what about the same, I guess, with the splits in the midair? Where'd that come from?
You know, I used to do that as a kid already. Speaking I have pictures of that thing, yeah. I used to do that as a kid, you know, because always for fun I would jump into splits. And so when I knocked a guy out in 43 seconds, I had so much more energy and I just jumped up to all the sides of the ring. And then they told me the second fight when I won, he says, you got to do the jumps again. I said, what do you mean? He says, yeah, it's the Rutten jump. Now it became my move. Yeah. Now I had to do it. Sometimes I got more tired from the jumping than I did from the actual fight.
Yeah, 30-second fight. Have you ever like landed that on 2 people like in a movie before?
No, that would be great.
You got to.
In a fight scene, I did that one time. In a fight scene. So it's choreographed. But
well, that would be smart. If I was going to have you in a fight scene, I would make you do that move too.
You have to do that. You know, it's like, it's like saying, doing a movie with Schwarzenegger, he has to say, I'll be back.
Exactly.
Right? It's like that.
Exactly. That's exactly what it is, dude. Well, that's cool. Okay, so you crushing it out in Japan. What made you like end your Pancrase run, and like did the UFC come directly after that, or like explain that whole transition in between right there?
Well, I started facing UFC guys like Mario Smith, and I would beat him in Japan, and he was a UFC champion, and Shamrock, and you know Guy Metzger, and all these guys who were doing really well at the UFC. So the matchmaker, the former matchmaker John Peretti, he came to Japan when I was fighting. He wanted to see me fight, and after I knocked another guy out, he said, yeah, the UFC really would like to have you.
Hell yeah.
And I said, that's great, because I would love to go to the UFC. I had 3 or 4 more fights, I think, under my contract. So I moved. That's when I moved to America
in 97. So it was the contract that ended.
The contract ended. And I needed something new. I was winning so many fights in a row, and this sounds really stupid, but it becomes normal.
No, it does, man. I know what you mean.
Yeah, and once something becomes normal, that's not a good thing, because you start caring less, and once you care less, well, they don't care less, your fighters, and they will be 100% proof. So I need a new fire lit under me.
Yeah, because when they fighting you, they're coming with their fucking A game.
That's it. They have to. So I fought the fights, then I went to the UFC.
Nice. And I mean, it's crazy to me because it's almost like your experience just rolled over to the UFC because you're just like that much of a badass that after one fight, they let you fight for the title, man. That's probably not normal at that time, right?
No, but like I said,
you're just a badass, man. Come on.
No, but also I beat the UFC guys who were champions at the time in Japan. Yeah. So that's why they are. And they said, because when I came in, they said we're going to do something new. We're going to introduce weight classes. There was only 2 weight classes. It was called light heavyweight, I believe, or middleweight and heavyweight. It was 200 pounds and under and 200 pounds and over. And he said, what do you want to fight? I said, well, I'm 200 pounds. I said, but heavyweight always sounds cooler, so let me do the heavyweight, be the heavyweight champion, So I went to the heavyweight. That's a funny story, too. When I fought for the title, I was too light. I was 197 pounds, and I was standing in my jeans on the scale. And I go, what does it mean? He goes, well, you can fight, but it's not going to be for the title. I said, why not? You have to be over 200 pounds.
I said, go eat.
Give me one moment. And my buddies were drinking waters, so I drank all the waters. I went back on 203. I drank way too much. And I was 203 pounds, and now it became a title fight. So,
wow.
Yeah.
I didn't even know that. That's crazy.
Yeah, that was a fun story also. It's UFC was fun, man. It was such a good time. I always wanted to come up, and a lot of people, I don't know if you believe it or not, but it's the truth. I wanted to go to the UFC because of the UFC theme song. I wanted to come up and and it was such good that this whole song started. Dude, I want to come up with that song one time. That was the main reason. I'm serious that I want to go to the UFC. Wild, right? I don't know what music can do to people.
Hey, no, believe me, man. I mean, I think too, just like in the movie you was in, just like I think the theme song says a lot when you come out, man. Like you gotta have a strong one, I feel like like LL Cool J, I'm gonna knock you out might be a great one if I was gonna fight.
Boy George, do you really want to hurt me? I think always that's a good one to come out with.
That's great.
Or ain't that a kick in the head? I will come up with a song like that now.
That's a great one, dude. Cool. So after your first 2 fights in the UFC. You ended your UFC run. You got some injuries or something, right? What exactly happened?
Well, I had already tendonitis in both. I don't know if really the technical name is tendonitis. It's a condition that I realized I already had when I was doing track and field a long time ago. I had it on my knees. If I would, for a high jump, for instance, my first high jump would be 6 feet.
Okay.
Because I couldn't go first lower. Because let's say I would jump 6'6" was my high jump or something. Let me see one. Wow. No, 6'8". So, but my first jump was 6 feet, and then I would right away go to 6'2" or 6'3" because I only had a few jumps because I knew that my knees would give out.
Yeah.
It was almost like my knees were not made for the power in my legs. So, and I had it also with my arms, and I realized I was getting with javelin or with shot put or I would always hurt my arm. So I stopped track and field, and somehow it took at least 5 years for it to come back in fighting.
Wow.
So I was lucky that I at least had a career out of it, but then
absolutely.
It came back, and it's such a painful thing. You can't describe it. It's like almost like it comes from the inside. It hits after 45 minutes. It's really weird. You feel something like this, just like that. Boop. And then I know, oh, here we go. And then about 30 minutes later, you're in pain for an hour and a half, intense. There's nothing you can do for the pain. There's no pain pills you can take because you're going to have to fight. It was a nightmare. And then training becomes really not enjoyable anymore. Because you have only 45 minutes, and on the clock, 45 minutes, boom, that's it. Pain starts, get the heck out of there. And then, lay down, and hopefully it goes away fast. So that was the most painful one for me. So I always enjoyed training a lot. I can never believe fighters who say, "Oh, I hate training." I go, "Dude, I was looking forward to train every time, every day. Dude. I loved it." That's why you excel at it, because if you love something, you will put everything in that you have. Yeah. But once the training becomes painful, and you don't, you go, oh, I got to go again.
Yeah.
That's it. The joy is gone. Once the joy is gone, you got to stop.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, and years later, even despite that, you still came back and did one last fight. Like, what you just feeling better, or like what made you decide to come back and do another one?
Yeah, well, but first of all, we lived in a house, and I wanted a pool, and we knew there was a house for sale, like a quarter mile up, and I wanted that house, and then they called me and they offered me, I think it was $225,000. This is 2006. It was a lot of money, and it still is a lot of money. And I said, sure, I would fight. I want to fight. Who do you want to fight? I said, Hicks and Gracie. And they go, why? I said, well,
Yikes.
everybody says he's the best, I think I can beat him, and he thinks he can beat me. I would, and we never. All the people always said, "Oh, you didn't like Hicks." I respect him.
Of course,
that's why. That's why I asked for him. I never had a problem with him. He was a good guy.
Why would you pick someone that sucks?
So, but they said no, it was going to be too expensive. It was for the new organization. It was the first show. We cannot pay them. I said, well, then you pick an opponent. I don't really care. I fight anybody. So it became Kimo Leopoldo.
Okay.
And Kimo Leopoldo suddenly 3 days before the fight tested positive for steroids. So he got out, and then thankfully had this new guy coming in who saved the show, because all the guys who in interviews said they wanted to fight me, why didn't they ask me? Why didn't they ask me? As soon as the fight was over, we called them. None of them wanted to fight me. And I go, dude, you were screaming everywhere that you want to fight me, and now suddenly you don't want it. So we found him, Ruben.
Warpath.
Ruben Valerial, and thankfully that he stepped up. And he took the fight.
Poor guy, man. One of the first times I've seen a fight end from a leg kick. Dude literally just couldn't stand up anymore. Fuck.
That's, with people,
God, that's terrible.
It's the best technique to use on the street too. I used to do it for fun. If a guy would pick a fight with me, like as a bouncer, I would say, what's this? I'm just going to low kick him. Because if you don't know what a low kick is, for the people
never
at home,
gonna know
you
that
kick
it's
with
coming.
your shin bone, so it starts with that, and you kick full on the leg. Now, with Charlie horse, we all know how much that hurt. Try to do that with a leg that comes swinging at you, full power, and then concentrate it on a little tiny shin bone. Yeah, your muscles
done.
lock up. If you never dealt with it, you don't flex.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, it's the worst thing that you can do. So
especially he took multiple.
yeah, he took. I think I gave him 3 or 4, and but the one that was the one I felt it, because that was the moment he wasn't flexing. There was a moment in the ring in the fight that I was moving backwards, and I gave him a low kick, and I literally felt my bone touch his thigh bone. So I knew that his leg was not flexed.
Yeah.
And I go, that's it. Immediately I told myself, that's it, fight's over. And he started limping, and then I gave him one more, and the fight was over.
That might be the first time I've seen somebody tap out with nobody touching him.
Yeah. and I'm looking at the referee, and he's sitting there in the referee fight. And I
He's
go,
just like, nah, I can't stand up no more.
And he goes, stop. I go, I don't want to hit the guy. So I figured I'm going to submit him or something. I didn't want to hit him anymore.
Well, cool. I think we're going to take this time. We're going to take a couple of fan questions from social media.
Uh-oh.
And we'll see what we got here, okay?
All right.
This first one comes from Dustin Ryder on Facebook, and he asks, I'm curious to know if you ever thought during your career that MMA would ever reach the popularity and heights that it has, from being banned in certain states to Congress going out of their way to paint MMA as a blood sport, to having record-breaking attendance records and producing some of the most sought-out-after icon athletes in history, and most importantly, who, in your opinion, were the pivotal fighters that helped MMA reach that point? It's a long one, man.
It's a long one. First of all, yes, I 100%. I was way too soon. I think after my second fight in an interview, I said, you mark my words, within 4 years, this is the biggest sport ever. But that was 93. So that was 97. I was way off. But then, of course, when the Ultimate Fighter came and everything started, then it became this super big thing. So and I compared it at the time in the interviews. I say it's like the movie Rollerball. I don't know if you remember that. Where in the future there's no more violence, and the only way you can deal with like your frustrations and violence is to go to a sport like Rollerball, where people die and people doing it. And of course, in MMA nobody dies, but I mean, people need an outlet. Because there's too much hate, too much crazy stuff going on in the world right now. They need something they can scream at. They scream with the fighters. So this thing is going to be huge. That's what I said, but I was way off in time, but eventually I was happy that I was right. What was the last part of that question?
It was who was the pivotal fighters that helped MMA reach that point?
Yeah,
one of them, clearly.
No, but Hoist Gracie, right?
Absolutely.
We got to go with Hoist Gracie here.
Absolutely.
Ken Shamrock.
Definitely.
All these guys, Dan Severin, Don Fry, Mark Coleman.
Tank Abbott.
Tank
Those
Abbott,
guys.
those guys really, because they put it on the map, and sure, you got to have less skills, or maybe he's out of shape, but it doesn't matter. He put it on the map.
did.
These guys
He
were
did.
there. Those were the real guys who really built it.
It was
You know?
exciting, man.
Yeah, but a lot of people don't know is that actually Pancrase started before the UFC. It was in September, I
Yeah.
think, UFC '93, and the UFC's first show was November '93.
Wow. All right. Well, our next question comes from John Carson on Facebook, and he asks, "Who is your favorite up-and-coming prospect that hasn't made it to the UFC yet, any weight class?"
Oh, you know, it's very hard, that question for me right now also, because I haven't been watching TV for a month because I'm doing this detaching thing. It's a 90-day where you can't drink,
That's smart.
cold showers, no phone, no internet, no nothing. You can use it only for business, and your computer only for business. For the rest, you can't surf the internet, can't do anything. So I'm not watching fights at this moment. But there's so many good fights. I didn't see the fight, but everybody tells me the guy who just fought Anderson Silva.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
he will
yeah,
be
yeah.
the next,
Yeah.
you know.
Stylebender, yeah. He's
I
real
mean,
nice.
he's unbelievable. Michael with Venom Page, you know,
Yep.
guys like that. You know, that accuracy and the weirdness they fight. I love guys like that who fight different than other people. TJ Dillashaw.
Yeah,
You know,
hell yeah.
guys like that, you know, and yeah, just who are able to knock you out in southpaw stance or in orthodox stance, who constantly switch stances, constantly flip, go trick here, kick there. You know, I love that kind of stuff. Actually, one of my students, Ryan Lilly, he just fought his first fight in Bellator, and he used TJ's trick, you know. And I always tell him, I say, if you kick high, look low, like you're gonna kick him low. And the very
That's
first
smart.
kick, he's moving around, he's baiting the guy, he's looking down, he sees his reaction, and suddenly he looks down and he dips his head, like TJ always does. So it looks like you're going to kick him a low
Yeah,
kick or a
even the
middle
dip.
kick. We kicked him full in the head. So he threw one strike and won the fight. That was awesome. So
Wow.
yeah, we take from everything that we see. And of course, Dwayne Ludwig used to
Yeah,
be a
hell
student of
yeah.
mine, and
Hell
this
yeah.
guy,
Amazing
man,
guy.
what he did with my system, like the Bang system, it's called Bas Rutten Inspired Bang. Bang Muay Thai. But I got to be completely honest with me. Yes, he got all the basics from me, but I'm an orthodox fighter, and I just do everything powerful. He started adding switching
dude.
stances, throwing out baits,
He's
trying
so
to do
smart.
little things. That he's such a master at what he's doing. He's completely invested. Also, when you see his fighters, he will be every
Kill it. They
step of the
kill
way.
it. Yeah.
Look what he did with Team Alpha Male. I mean, the results went up. I just saw the stats again. I mean, they went from having 30% knockout rate to 65 or almost 70% knockout rate within 6 months.
Yeah, he's
you
a
know, take
beast,
down the
man.
fence, everything became better. Yeah, he's something.
Most definitely, yeah. And just on a side note, like you mentioned in Stylebender and Michael Venom Page, like someone so unorthodox like that, how would you prepare for someone like that if you had to fight them?
Yeah, that's hard. You're gonna need to find somebody who moves like that. You know, TJ Dillashaw was sparring with Triple G. No, with Lomachenko.
Okay.
And I heard that was a really great. Lomachenko was like, whoa, what now? And the reason of that is because it's just completely different than he ever faced somebody.
Yeah.
So if you jump out, if you are like a Sakuraba, that was Sakuraba. He was so inventive.
Yeah.
You know, and he came up with this crazy judo, Mongolian judo chop. Like, what's that going to do? No, that by itself doesn't do anything, but it's a great distraction to go over into a submission. And that's how he was using his fighting skills. And you see how successful he was with it. He beat 4 Gracies.
Yeah.
Submitted those guys. I mean, these are the
that's
best.
The ultimate compliment there.
You see, so it's always the guy who doesn't do things like the others. My style of submissions, it became so good, and it's not, I want to say, oh, it's the best. It's not. It was just because it was different.
Yeah.
Like, because I created a different way. I didn't follow the playbook. So if I would roll even with a 3rd-degree black belt, I would catch him in a submission if I came up with that submission. I made a whole bunch of submissions. I would say in a fight, before a fight, with a Bas Rutten neck crank, there was 100%. I said to everybody in the dressing room, say, watch, I'm going to stop with the Bas Rutten neck crank. And then 4 minutes into the fight, I got him in the neck crank. He said, how'd you come up with that? I said, well, you know, we just play around. But because he never saw that submission, you catch him with it. You can be a world champion. If you don't know the setup, you are going to get caught.
Yeah.
Now, against the world champion, that will happen only once.
Yeah.
And that will
And
never
he'll
happen
learn.
again.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
he probably does it on you right away back. But you always have that one time
Yeah.
that you can use.
Yeah, well, I guess I can imagine if you're doing jiu-jitsu, you can train to fight someone doing jiu-jitsu. But if you don't know the damn submissions they're going to do, it's probably very tricky to train for that.
Yep.
Okay, well, that's cool, man. That's enough for the fan questions for right now. There's one thing I do got to ask you, man. There's like so many notorious like bar and street fight stories of you going around. I gotta ask if there's a new crazy story you could give us that you haven't told anybody yet, or maybe not that many people. Like, what's a wild one, and if you can remember. People love this. We gotta have this, man.
We gotta get one, right? Okay, I'll tell you one that I had a while ago, because the complexity of this thing is really funny, and how everything ties in together. So, I'm standing in a bar where I was the bouncer, but I was always, they knew I was the bouncer. I didn't even have to be there, because just me, they knowing, and I used to live very close to that place. So if something would happen, they would call me, I would come over, and that was done. So anyway, I'm there, we're having a lot of fun. My wife comes over to me and she says, hey, I think you need to start stretching, because this guy just told me that he was going to beat my face in. I said, what guy?
What?
And he's talking to these two ladies there. So I'm walking over. I said, dude, did you just tell my wife that you were going to beat her up?
Oh, my God.
Yeah, and he's going, that
worst nightmare.
And he goes, and he looks at these girls. This happened twice to me with the same line. He looks at the girls and says, he goes, ladies, excuse me, I have some business to take care of. And he grabs the bar stool and he lifts it above his head to hit me. I knock him out, right? He has no defense. So as soon as he stands there, I hit him full in the face. Guy goes down, grab him by the head, knee him, bar breaks. I mean, teeth flying around. So this bad thing happened, right? So the guy's both.
That's not the bad thing?
No. So this is completely crushed. Up to the hospital. My wife the next day has a driver's test. This is a long time back. For car, not the test. She was taking
like
driving
renewal or
classes.
something.
And the instructor didn't show up. And she's waiting. Finally, the guy shows up and he's all sweating. And he sits in the car and he goes, oh my God, what's going on? He says, yeah, I have this crazy son. You know, he always gets into fights, but apparently he's got the wrong guy right now. He's in the hospital. And my wife sits there. She goes, oh, shoot, that's the guy from yesterday evening.
It's like a resemblance.
She's freaking out. So she's driving to the whole test. Okay, we don't think anything of it anymore. So I think 2 years later, New Year's Eve, I'm at the same bar. And with New Year's Eve, we always do the fireworks. And a friend of mine brought a bomb. And I go, what kind of bomb? He says, with wires, man. We got a battery and we can explode it. I go, dude, I want to do that. I want to do it. I want to explode the bomb. So he shows me the bomb, and the bomb has like 5 feet of cable. And I go, yeah, we need more cable, dude. There's no way I'm going to detonate a bomb. Right? There was not with 5 feet of cable. We need more cable. And this guy taps me on my shoulder. Go, come with me, boss. So I'm running with this guy. We go to his car. He opens the cupboard. He's drunk. And he starts ripping out his speaker cables. I stop right now. I said, don't do that. So what do you mean? I say, you're drunk right now. You're going to hate this in the morning, man. Let it go.
These are speaker cables.
We'll find some speaker cables. No. Don't worry about it, boss. I want to see the bomb explode. I go, okay, if you want to do it. And then he looks at me and he said, you don't remember me, right? And I go, who are you? He says, you beat all my teeth out like a couple of years ago. I go, dude, but you were this giant freaking roided guy. He said, yeah, I used a lot of steroids at the time. I was a very angry guy. I stopped doing that because, well, you put me on the straight path.
Wow.
He said, so we ended up, he and I, having a beer on New Year's Eve.
Wow.
Yeah, and it was all nice and dandy afterwards. So, but it was
story.
So weird that we met his father. My wife met his father. And then later on, I meet him again.
He's just in your network, man.
Yeah,
wow.
That was crazy.
That is a crazy coincidence, man. One more thing, I think like, my favorite video of Bas Rutten ever on the internet. It's probably not what you're thinking it is.
No, I do
but
too.
There's something where where someone asked you a question on Inside MMA about Steven Seagal.
Oh, that one, yeah.
And I swear I've watched that clip about 7 million times. If you don't know what it is, someone asked who would win in a fight between him and Steven Seagal, and you just got to check the response for yourself. It's hilarious. I just got to, how do you feel about Steven Seagal now? Have you guys ever spoke? Like,
no, we never
seen
spoke.
It? Like,
actually,
what?
I hang out with this daughter one day, and she actually, I have a picture of her putting me in the choke. I said, send that to your dad. Great lady, great people. Listen, Steven Seagal is a phenomenal martial artist. I'm not going to take anything away from him. I'm that. But being a great martial artist doesn't mean that you can fight. Yes, you can fight with guys who attack you like this, and then you see it, you throw it over. If I stand in front of you, go, boop, you can't grab that punch. And if you can grab that punch, you're going to get hit with it, and it's a different sport. It simply doesn't work. Do things from Aikido work in mixed martial? Of course, things work from Aikido in mixed martial. You will see it a lot. There's a lot of people who are using it, but just solely that sport won't. and solely striking mode. And
solely no
submission
sport at this
mode.
point, no.
Yeah, so it needs to be all together. Otherwise, it simply doesn't work. So he's a great martial artist, but as a fight, he never competed. So, you know, that's
You're safe for now, Seagal.
Yeah, no, he's always been safe.
That's cool, man. Well, I mean, after your fight career and everything like that, you seem to like transition seamlessly into like everything. One of which being an actor. Like, how did that start out? Like, what made you think you want to be in movies and whatnot?
Oh, that's all planning. You know, people, they go, oh my God, you're so easy. It will come so easy for you. No, it's not. I put a lot of work in it. Yeah. Same as in training. I put a lot of work in it. And it's the same as in acting. So when I came in 97 to America, within 3 months, I was taking acting classes at the Beverly Hills Playhouse.
While
because
you were
I knew
fighting
eventually.
too.
Yeah, because I knew eventually, you know, I needed a backup plan.
Yeah.
Right? And for me, it was not being an actor. For me, it was either going to be an actor or a stunt choreographer or a fight choreographer, you know, or doing stunts, something. But I want to do something in movies. Movies have always been attracting to me. And that's why I wanted to move to America as well. So I just started focusing on the art, you know, and playing with it and going on stage and doing scenes. Because that's the same. I remember my first interviews in Japan. I was more nervous for interviews than I was for fighting. You know, because it's something that you don't do. But once you get used to it, you know, and I'm very lucky that I did, for instance, live shows, Pride Fighting Championships. You know, you go live on TV, you cannot make a mistake. Now, you know, and you start learning to deal with, if you make a mistake, how to catch that again and how to wrap it up, you know, that nobody notices at home. And once you start doing those things and you get more and more relaxed, you know, then acting is there. But then still acting, it's a lot of stress. I remember my first acting job, and I could dream.
And what was it also?
It was 18 Wheels of Justice. It was a TV show.
Okay.
And I was a bank robber. And I was a bank robber who was wearing a wig in disguise with the thing. So I started all itching. And the problem was that this was the last scene of the day. It was a Thursday. It was going to be a long weekend because Friday was a holiday. And then a long weekend. Everybody, and we've been shooting all day long, they wanted to go home, right? And I felt the pressure. Everyone wanted to go home. Yeah. Now, this is my first acting job. Start sweating, start itching. The wig starts itching. The shades, they start sliding down my nose from the sweat. You know, so they say, and action. And as soon as they said that, my first question was, what's my line? I forgot, complete blank. So I'm doing it. I'm constantly, I'm crushing, and in a bad way, not crushing it, in a bad way. I'm completely blowing it. And at a certain moment, like after the third time, I mess the scene up. I hear the people behind me go, like that. Yeah. So now the pressure's really on. Yeah. But I took my stuff off. I turned around. I go, are you guys serious here? And I started screaming at them, not in a fun way, not in a violent way. I go, you gotta help me out here. I'm freaking nervous. I'm sweating with the stupid wig. I'm freaking, and this is not helping me. Please, can you? And somehow I got it out of my system, nailed the next scene, and we could go home. So it worked, but I had to really go down because everybody started laughing. I go, dude, I'm nervous as a wreck right now. I said, you're not helping me with putting the pressure more on. Give me some time. And you know, I think I needed that outlet in order to get me and calm down. And then I just did it in one take, thankfully. Yeah.
Nice, yeah. And I've seen, like, you and Kevin James got to be, like, real good friends. Or, like, I'm curious, you got, like, what, 7, 8 projects with him now at this point. Like, how did you guys meet? And tell me, like, what it's like working with him, all that sort of stuff.
I met Kevin pretty much with my first friend in America, you know, 22 years ago, Wow. Because he found out that I was in America. It was his first season of King of Queens at the time. I met him when he lived in a 1-bedroom apartment that he shared with his brother. That's how it started. And just King of Queens just started. And that's the one guy who never changed, who always been the same. He's the most solid anchor. I mean, that guy is unbelievable. Like all the people who worked on on the show King of Queens, they worked also on Kevin Can Wait. They work in all the movies. He brings these people to everybody. He's just an unbelievable person. He puts everybody in contact with everybody. Yeah, I just came back from Colorado with him. He was there also with a bunch of guys. We helped a few priests out to their land. There was a lot of stuff that needed to be demolished, and I'm working with him together, right? So we're trying to break these things out. And he looks at me, and we see all these tables that need to be torn down, and we got only 3 days. And I look at him, I go, "This is gonna take a long time. We need big sledgehammers, not these little." I'm not kidding. A sledgehammer like this, not, I swear to God, like a little Thor hammer for a 5-year-old baby or a kid or something. You know, we go ding, 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 and finally the thing comes out, and he goes like, I got it. So he called him, and he got a bobcat, And then,
Wow.
dude, I have video of him like just running through with the bobcat through the stables, rah, just destroying everything, pulling the roofs off. You know, we threw it on this big. First, we had a pile which is like 7 feet tall. No, let's say 6 feet tall. We said, "Oh, shall we burn that?" Yeah, man, I don't know. It's a little high. So while we were burning it, there's another stack became high, and that became this as high as this ceiling here, this big stack, and we all look at each other and said, "Just light it up, see what happens." You know, nobody cared anymore. That's actually really cool because there were so many fires. There was one fire here, one fire there, and there was a path here. So I walked through it. I actually have a video of that. I can show you that. Maybe you can show it, and it looks like I'm walking through fire.
Yeah, I did. I saw on your Instagram.
Yeah, on
I did
Instagram,
see that.
right?
I did see
That
that.
was that,
I did see
clip.
that. I did see that. That's fucking nuts. So that's where that was from. I was wondering, like, this dude's nuts.
Yeah, we were just helping these people and breaking everything down and cleaning it up.
That's good, man. So he stayed a good friend, man. I mean, like, what? Just like right when he got big, he just tapped you. Like, we need to get you. In
Yeah,
some
so
roles, or-
he used to watch with Joe Rogan. Actually, they were good friends.
Wow.
They are still are good friends, and they used to watch Pancrase, the pay-per-view. They would
Wow.
order it. So when he found out that I was in America, the management called me and said, "Hey, we'd like to train with you. We'd like to meet you." So we met and we clicked immediately because he's the same crazy guy as I am. With him, everything is a joke. You know, I mean, what you see is what you get with him. You know, in the conversation, the jokes will come, and it's not like he's looking for jokes. It's just automatically there.
Yeah.
You know, it's not like, "Oh, look at me, I get a joke." No, it comes so natural. He sees the fun in everything. The way he puts sentences together from people, and then somehow he gets a joke out of it. He sees right away
the connection.
how they can make a connection to make it into a joke. It's I
some battle rap
I did
shit
like
right there.
23 episodes on Kevin Can Wait.
Yeah.
You know, and once you go with a guy like that and you see how he takes the script and how he changes it and how he makes it better and the little hints that he gives you and how to do the scene and it's such a you realize it's a real profession. You know, because
absolutely.
I said, "Oh, you say this." He said, "No, I already said it in the opening of the script. I can't say that anymore." You know, it's all
Yeah, it ties
it's all
in.
Ties
You
in.
gotta know,
It's very hard, and he's really good at it.
Yeah, well, it seems like you're shining really good too, man. You was hilarious in Here Comes the Boom, man. I'm curious though, like, who is the toughest person you ever fought, in or out of the ring? Honestly,
The
like,
toughest
who
person.
gave you the hardest fight, like the hardest time? Who's
Well,
tough?
Reynolman, he beat me my whole face in the first 4 minutes. That was not fun. My nose was broke. I was swallowing blood like a maniac. I put my finger in my throat. I remember in the corner to try to throw up because I was filling my stomach with blood. I lost the contact. My other eye was filled up with blood, so I can't see anything. You know, and I have -5.5. So literally, if you're 5 feet away from me and you look at me, you do this, I can't tell. I can't tell where you're looking. So for fighting, that's not good. That's why I had to fight with contact
Yeah, that
because I
sounds
can read
scary,
body
too.
movements and all that kind of stuff. So
That's scary, man.
Yeah,
Fighting with contact.
It was scary. So
Sheesh.
that was really tough. And then I don't know who's it was just a hard fight to go through, and then to bite through, and then hopefully to get the victory.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that would.
Kevin Randleman.
Kevin Randleman, yeah, but he gave me a real hard time in the first 4 minutes. I was really beating my face, and everything broke. Yeah, he did a good job.
Nice job you have there, man. Sheesh.
But it's cool that for me just to stay in there.
Yeah.
And I remember this fight, and it's funny because it's in Big John McCarthy's book. So it was almost like somebody was playing games with me, had games with me. So the day before or on the day of the fight, I don't know what it is anymore, but we were talking about the nose bone going into the brain, and I said, no, that's a myth. That's not true.
Yeah, I've heard
it's
about
not real. And the guy said, yeah, no, I know that. He said, but if your nose is already broke, then it can happen. So what happens in the fight? The nose gets smashed, right? So I'm standing there with the doctor, and the doctor says, Bas, your nose is broke. What do you want to do? And I turned to John, and I said, do you believe that thing with the nose bone into the brain? And he goes, nah. I go, okay, I'll fight. But I had to make sure if he would have said,
Well, he's an expert. He knows.
Yeah, I said, if that would have said yes, I might stop the fight. And people go, oh, he's not that fighter. No, not me. I don't want to die, dude. I'm not that guy who says, I want to die in the ring. No, I have a family. I have kids. I love my life. Yeah. If there's a way that I tap and stay alive,
That's great.
I'll tap.
That's great.
I'm not going to fight till the death. I'm not that tough guy, trust me.
Awesome, man. Well, we're going to take this time now. We have a section of the podcast. We're getting close to the end of this thing. Hang in, bear with me. This thing now we call the Okwerdz Top 3, where every guest, we ask their top 3 of all time on a certain topic. And for you, Bas Rutten, since I consider you like one of the great personalities, not only a great fighter, but one of the great personalities in MMA, Bas Rutten, who are your top 3 personalities in combat sports?
Guys?
Anybody, doesn't matter.
Well, McGregor, right? Conor McGregor. We got to start with that guy.
Well, I'm from Stockton, so I'm biased.
No, but he's there. He's there. He's there. You know, the Diaz brothers, of course. No, they have to.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, and a guy like Chael Sonnen.
Yeah.
You know, we were just talking about it here just before I walked in. I mean, these guys are very smart guys, and also, you know, these are guys that are. If you meet the Diaz brothers, they're very funny, great guys.
Yeah, they're the
you
best.
know,
They're
it's
the best.
a persona that they put on. If you meet Conor McGregor, there's no profanity, there's no nothing. He's a very clean, he's a good guy, family man. He's a good guy. He just knows when to turn it on and when to turn it off. Yeah. And the same with Chael Sonnen.
Well, you're not in that stressful situation all the time. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Also,
you turn it on when you're in that situation.
Yeah,
know?
But he's, you know, he knows it sells.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, yeah.
He knows it sells, and he's very. Look what he did. He made. The UFC be sold for over $4 billion. It's because of him and Ronda Rousey. You can pretty much say that because they thought these two were going to stay. You know, and they will find more people like that. But it started in '93, and now we're in this year. Right, many years later, and then we found one guy. We had Chael Sonnen coming up, who did a great job with it, but then when Conor came, he took it to the next level also.
Yeah.
Very smart, not thinking what he says, not one speech is the same as the other speech. It's always different. You know, with me, if I say something, it's most of the time it's a thing, well, I will repeat it all the time because, you know, I'm not that creative as he is. You know, but he is... he's something.
So
and,
as far as the top
like
3, is he number 1? And
he's number 1. He has to be number 1.
And Chael, you got 2?
I would Chael too, and I put the Diaz brothers at number 3.
That's
and the
fair.
Diaz brothers, it's you know, whatever. You know, they only have to say that.
That's great. It's
and
the
they
best.
love it because people
It's the
love it
best.
because you can tell it comes from the heart.
It's real.
It's
man.
real.
Like I could just feel the Stockton in it. You know what I mean? When it happens, it's very like, you know what I mean. I know a lot of people that I grew up with that are just like that.
Yep.
You know what I mean? From Stockton, just have the same mentality. You know what I mean? For me personally, I got to go Nick and Nate, 1 and 2. And number 3, I think I'm going to go like Mike Tyson or Muhammad Ali, man. I think.
You know, these are guys that change. You know, Bruce Lee also, you know, when you look at that. But that's it's a different thing because you were talking more about promoting it and everything. But, you know, if you, like, look at a guy like Ali, right? I mean, the guy, they say, for what I understand, he had like 80 IQ, which is not that high.
No.
But dude, he was a very smart
Unless
guy.
they said 180.
I mean, but the stuff he said, how smart was this guy?
Yeah.
He went to.
He's basically a battle rapper.
On Oxford, the university. He went. They had to do a speech, and then one of the poem guys asked him, "Give us the shortest poem." And he looks and he goes, "Me, we." And they were like blown away. Everybody goes, "Oh, holy!" They even didn't think about that. But that's what I mean. You see, everybody, I get goosebumps now. They use their skills different ways. And the way what he did, he used to watch professional wrestling, right? That's how he came up with personas and doing all that stuff. He was a big pro wrestling fan. And that's why he became so famous. And then Tyson had that persona. That's the Diaz brothers. Terrifying guy.
Terrifying.
You know, and then
I feel like
the
even
interviews.
I feel like sometimes Mike Tyson could have maybe in his prime beat a few people in the UFC. What do you think?
Mike Tyson's a scary dude.
He's
My
scary.
fighting style is really, it's his and Ramon Decker's blend.
That's a great combo.
That's a great combo. It's a very square stance, an open stance, what they call it. So you almost have equal power in left and right. You know, you don't shut down an entire side. If you're blading, if you stand in one line, you're shutting down your whole left side. Right? It would be stupid. And their thinking is from all these boxers, these science boxers, oh yeah, but you're a wider target. Okay, did Mike Tyson ever go down to the body? Did Bas Rutten ever go down? Chuck Liddell ever go down to the body? Ramon Decker? I never saw him go down to the body. They're wide open. Why don't they hit him there? And you know why? Because you know you're wide open. And because I know I'm wide open, my defense becomes automatically better here. Because I learn how to deal with it. Your body learns how to deal with it. But now, I'm in complete control. Now, this is not a jab anymore. It's a straight punch. I hit a crash test dummy I had to hit for power on Fight Science.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
And they said, what do you do with the left? He says, take a southpaw stance. I said, no, I'm not going to stand in a southpaw stance. I'm going to do it for my stance. Because then I can really see what can I generate. It was literally like 93% compared to my 100% on the right.
Wow.
It's standing in this stand. But it's because now I can still push off on the back foot. I can still rotate my upper body. I can put all my body weight in that punch. So you're taking the jab effect out of it. Now you have a punch that you have to watch out for. Fighting is very simple, I always tell people. If I hit you really hard in the head, guess what happens? Your hands go up, and there's your next target. And vice versa. You want to hit somebody in the face? Go really hard to the body. And don't do these stupid things like they do this in an MMA. They're in the guard and they go boom, boom, bang, boom, boom. The 2 punches and then a hard punch to the head. Never works because these 2 punches, they don't even need to block because there's no power in there. Yeah. Now, if you do that a different way, you load up and you hit as hard as you can to the body. And you keep looking down, hard as you can to the body. And keep looking down, boom, to the head. While you're looking down, now it becomes effective, you see? So the tick, tick, boom doesn't work. The power, everything in power shots, for me and for Ramon Deggers and for Mike Tyson, it worked perfect. And Chuck Liddell, he stands also pretty square open. He has his hands also the same as me, so it worked out perfect for us.
Oh, sure did, man. Sure did. Well, luckily, we're really pretty much almost done with this thing, man. Before we let you out of here, you got to tell the people at home where they can find you on social media if they want to follow you and all that type of thing.
Well, Facebook, right now there's not a lot of social media posting because of the 90 thing thing that I'm doing. It's called Exodus 90. If you're interested in it, look it up. But Facebook.com/Bas Rutten. That's my Facebook account. Bas Rutten MMA on Twitter and on Instagram.
Yep.
And that's O2 Trainer. Go to the O2 Trainer. Please check this out. If guys like Usain Bolt and everybody, the 3 other gold medalists are using it, you should really look into it. It's a super simple device. You will feel this immediately after the first time when you try it. It's a nightmare core workout. My abs are getting really thick now. They come all to the front because you use different kind of muscles that you normally use. What people don't realize is that you think that if you, they always say, oh, your lungs are you can fill them only a certain amount, right? Because they're only so big. But your lungs kind of don't do anything. It's your body that breathes for you. Because between the lungs and the body, there's a vacuum, so to say. So if you expand your chest, that's how you open your lungs. So the lungs, by themselves, they don't do a lot. But that means the more you can expand your chest, the more air you can pull into your lungs. Right? Now, so I've been training with that thing. I went over to Bullies. I've ran it. She's a world-renowned breathing expert as well. She is. I'm not. And she, the first thing, because I wanted to meet up, Joey Diaz set us up.
Yep.
Because he's using the O2 Trainer, loves it. He can now do the whole class of rolling. Rolling. He's a big believer. So I went over there, and the first thing she was doing was measuring my chest, like normal and expand. So I knew right away why she was doing that, to see how much air I could pull in. She measures, and she says, that cannot be true. Do it again. And she does it again, and she goes, one moment. And she runs out. She comes back with another doctor. I go, what's going on? And she said, if I wouldn't bring him, he's not going to believe what I just show. And she showed it to him. So normally, when somebody breaks the record in expansion, they break the record with like 1/8 of an inch, maybe 1/4 of an inch. I broke it with over 2 inches. And she goes, how is that even possible? But it's because you used a different kind of muscles with this thing. You use the outside muscles. So now I'm able to expand my chest more, so pull in more air. And that's what the O2 Trainer does. So people really, if you're a singer, trust me, use it. Horn instrument player.
I'm on it. I'm trying this thing for sure.
It's really great. I'm doing it every day. I have a Facebook account, Bas Rutten's O2 Bootcamp, I believe. If you want to join, you have to request, because it's a private account, but I have like 2,500 people on there who are all both O2 trainers. And that's where I post videos every day of a time lapse of me doing 30 repetitions. Because that's the only thing you need to do. You need to do 30 repetitions a day, you're done. It's under 4 minutes, but you realize you're getting really strong. For instance, I'm training with screen number 12. This is 40, but it's with a little tiny hole. Oh, with number 11. I started in May. And in May, I timed myself. It was 3 minutes and 55 seconds. I did the 30 repetitions. So in January, I thought, you know what, I should see what time I do it now. It was 2 minutes, 45 seconds. So a minute, 10 seconds stronger. So that means I got much stronger with pulling the air. And so I went to the next screen. So that's a really great way for you to check if you're actually getting stronger. Just time yourself, the amount of repetitions, and then 2 weeks later, time yourself again, and you're going to notice that you actually do it in a shorter amount of time, which means you're stronger now.
I'm gonna have to try that, man. Make sure you follow him on social media, everybody. Follow me as well. It's Okwerdz or Okwerdz 209 on everything. OKWERDZ 209. And we also just started a Instagram and a Twitter for the podcast as well. So follow us there too. It's OTB Podcast 209. I know it's weird to remember, but these people out there took every damn name in existence. So we got OTB Podcast 209. Follow that, man. And one last thing before we get you out of here, we got to have you bless the table.
The table, I see it right here in front of me.
Yeah, go for it, man.
All right.
And while you do that, man, I'm just curious. I know you've had those tattoos on your palms. I'm just curious, what do those mean exactly?
You know, what it means, this one is ki or chi. That's in China, it's, I believe, ki, and or the other way around. China is chi, and in Japan it's ki. It's the same logo. It means life force. Life power. And once I put this one on, I never lost a fight anymore. So I figured, hey, it works. So I gave myself a long life. That's what this means, a shao. It's a very old symbol. Like in Japan, they won't recognize this symbol. But I was doing a bunch of years ago, I was doing Tai Chi here in the mountains with some older Chinese people were doing Tai Chi.
Yeah.
And while I'm doing it, this old woman goes, oh, shao. And I go, excuse me. She says, shao, long life. I go, you see it? I said, nobody recognizes it. He says, no, it's a very old symbol. He says, but it's, it means long life. I said, good.
It's pretty ironic, though, as you slam that into someone's face, they're getting the opposite of a long life.
Yeah, but for me, I always told my kids I want to be 100. I want to see my grandkids have kids, and you know, so I said, I'm going to be 100 years old. I'm going to do everything in my power to become 100 years old. So hopefully
great.
God and I can make a deal, and he's going to let me live, stay around.
I think you got a real good chance, man. I really appreciate you for coming on the podcast, man.
You're
Thank
very
you
welcome.
so much, man.
Thank you.
It's been a true honor, man, and I think we're about done here, man. If that's about it, man. Everybody, I appreciate y'all for watching. Outside the box. Blah! Boom. We out. Bop, 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 bop.
Outside the box, that's what we were talking about. If you think outside the box, hey, look at that.
Of course.